Hi, everyone. My name is Dr. Brian Glass, and this is the Diabetes Voices of Strength podcast. And today I have the pleasure of being joined by Stephen Cooper, who is a type 1 diabetic and a former student of mine at Texas State. Stephen, welcome.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
It's wonderful to have you here. So let's start at the beginning of your journey with type 1 diabetes. How old were you when you were diagnosed? What were the symptoms that were noticed? Just give us it all from the very beginning.
Sure. Yeah, so I was 2 weeks shy of my 15th birthday. I had just started high school. Uh, I actually had a very long undiagnosed period. After I was diagnosed, they speculated that my insulin producing cells may have begun dying a year prior.
Wow. Okay.
Um, and so when I think back on it, my symptoms probably started in the summer between middle and high school. It was a hot summer. I just chalked up being excessively thirsty to it being hot outside and a little bit of denial. Uh, and that gradually progressed into the start of high school, just being just ravenously thirsty all the time. Uh, to the point where my teachers were getting annoyed with me because I'd go out to the water fountain and spend 20 minutes out there just chugging bottle after bottle of water. And then, of course, I need to go to the bathroom 5 minutes later.
Okay.
Uh, and that continued as I was also just getting more and more frequent headaches and just this lethargic feeling. And until about, I think, the fourth week of school, when I just unfortunately discovered that drinks with sugar in them soothed the dryness in my throat better than water, and drank an entire case of Gatorade in one evening.
Oh my gosh.
Uh, and so the next morning, I wasn't feeling very well, and I had no appetite, just wanted nothing but more and more to drink. Uh, And so at first we thought it was the flu because that's kind of a more natural assumption to make when you've never had any serious health complications in your life. But I spent a week on the couch not getting any better. And then halfway through the following week, uh, my dad got kind of fed up and took me to the pediatrician. And we're in there describing the symptoms and talking about how, I'm getting up every hour in the middle of the night to drink 5 glasses of water and go to the bathroom 12 times. Uh, and then the doctor at one point comes back, goes out, comes back in with a blood glucose test kit, takes
Uh-huh.
my blood sugar and kind of double takes at the number, goes back into the hallway, gets a different blood glucose test kit, and tries it again. And it was at that point that she kind of turned to my dad and went, Dell's Children's Hospital is a 15-minute drive away from here. You can get him there faster than an ambulance can get here.
That's
Uh,
scary.
yeah. My blood sugar, I remember the number on screen was 834.
Oh my goodness.
So 10 times that of a healthy person.
Yeah.
And yeah. And in that time period of ignoring symptoms, I had lost about 30 pounds. I was the same height I am now, 6 foot two-ish, and under 120 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That is, yeah, it's shocking. The weight loss is terrifying. That's what happens when you're in, when you have a very high uh, ketones in your system, and your body is basically eating itself.
Hmm. Yeah.
Which a lot of people they don't understand the complications that accompany a diagnosis of type 1 diabetes, and just how close you are to death
Hmm.
in that particular moment. They only see you once you're a chronic diabetic after you've kind of gotten things under control. How long were you in the hospital?
Uh, I believe it was 16 days.
Oh, a long time. So you were in
Yeah,
severe diabetic ketoacidosis.
I was. By the time we got to Dell's Children's Hospital and I got out of the car, I could no longer support my own weight. I
Wow.
collapsed against the hood of the truck and had to be carried inside.
Oh my goodness. That is a desperate situation that you were in.
Yeah, by the time they got me into bed in the emergency clinic, my blood sugar had hit 4 digits.
I don't think I've ever heard of that. I mean, obviously it's happened before, but um, wow, just wow. You're very lucky to be here.
Yeah, I don't think I realized how dire it was at the time.
Sure.
Uh,
Well, you're a kid. You have
yeah,
this aura of invincibility when you're a kid.
I think that was shattered pretty quickly.
No doubt. No doubt. Mine was shattered when I was 20 and I found I was a
Mhm.
type 1 diabetic. Any sense of invincibility I had was instantly vaporized.
Yeah, uh, it definitely puts mortality into perspective right then and there.
Yeah. Yes. It absolutely does. My goodness. Well, that is a fascinating story. So you're in for 16 days. Do you remember what your first interaction was with either an endocrinologist or a diabetes nurse educator, dietitian? Tell us about that journey.
Yeah, so I spent the first 10 days in the ICU because they really had to bring my blood sugar down slowly. Uh, and then I moved to the diabetic ward, and we actually had to stay there a few extra days because they did not have a diabetic educator available in the Austin area.
In the Austin area?
Yeah, they had to get one because they were stretched so thin.
Wow.
We were on like a 5 day waiting period to get one in.
That's shocking, frankly.
In that time, the drop in blood sugar and the ketoacidosis, I was effectively blind.
Aha.
Uh, I could tell there was a clock on the wall 8 feet away, but I could not tell you what numbers were on it.
Yeah, you had severely blurred vision. I experienced the same thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which is a another real wake up moment. Had you ever had
Yeah.
any issues with your eyes previously?
No, I've always had perfect vision
Yeah.
before and since.
What year were you diagnosed?
This would have been 2011.
2011. Okay. So you've been a type 1 now for 15 years.
Yep, half of
What
my life.
what's the exact day?
Oh, it would have been, I believe, September 18th when I went in.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah, shocking. Your world is never the same. So half of your life now has been
Mhm.
with type 1, half of it without. So, question. Um, how do you remember life prior to your diagnosis?
It's very difficult for me to sort of wrap my head around it, because it's been such a constant every day. It's something I think about every day. It's almost foreign to think about life before it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And explain to me what your first experience was like having hypoglycemia, where your blood sugar went low from insulin.
Yeah, it was, I believe, in the hospital actually.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's actually I didn't know what it was, but I still react exactly the same way. I get this sort of shivering feeling in my upper chest, and just this uh, eventually just this wave of like subdued panic of something seriously wrong. Now I know what that is. At the time, I just hit the panic button.
Yeah. Yeah. The first time you feel it, you don't know what it is. it really is, like your heart rate increases rapidly, and
Mhm.
you feel like you're dying because yes, you actually are dying,
Yep.
and your brain is in can be in a panicked fog almost, because it's not getting the glucose that it needs.
Well, for me, the struggle has always been the adrenaline rush tells my body, move, move, move. And that's the worst thing you can do is no, sit down and eat.
Right. Have you ever had such a severe low that you lost consciousness, went into seizures, fell, for instance, while you were maybe trying to get sugar to treat yourself?
I've fallen once, but thankfully I've been lucky enough to never need emergency medication.
Okay.
The lowest my blood sugar's ever been is 23.
And you
Uh,
said that you saw on a glucose strip or on a CGM.
that would have been on a glucose strip.
Hmm.
I was very resistant to adopting a CGM.
Tell us about that.
So I had a very long honeymoon period, which is the period after diagnosis before your body completely stops producing insulin, as I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Uh, and you can't go on an insulin pump until after that is ended, just because the pump has no knowledge as to how you're feeling. It just delivers insulin because that's its job.
Right.
Uh, and that was the priority for me. I wanted to get on the insulin pump, and CGMs were kind of in their younger days of their life. Uh, and so I prioritized the pump over the CGM because I didn't mind pricking my fingers nearly as much as I minded doing 5 to 6 injections a day. Uh,
Fair enough.
So I got on the pump, and then after that, they integrated the ability to monitor a CGM from a pump. But the CGMs at the time, I believe, had a 3 day lifespan, and the pump also has a 3 day lifespan. And I'm going, nope, too many things to change on my body every 3 days. Too many things hanging off of me. Don't want to do it.
Right.
So I actually stuck with pricking my finger and using test strips until last year.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Until 2025, you held out.
I did, which in retrospect was way too long.
Which CGM are you using?
I'm currently using the Dexcom G7
Okay.
because it pairs very well with the pump that I'm on currently.
And which pump is that?
I'm using the Tandem T1.
Okay.
It's one of the more modern ones in a more familiar to insulin pump users format. It's, a box and a tube. Uh, I don't like the bulky things that attach, like the Omnipod. It's just too much to bump into stuff. I can slip the tandem into a pocket and it disappears.
All right. Right. You don't have any problems with getting caught up in the tubing at all?
I did it first.
Yeah.
It's something you learn to be more cognizant of. You learn to run the tubing on the inside of, like the hem of your pants and things like that. So once you sort of figure out how to manage the tubing, it happens less and less.
Okay. Yeah, because I know me as a long-suffering type 1 diabetic, we had a conversation about CGMs when you were in my class.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was curious, because you specifically mentioned you did not enjoy using a pump, but used a CGM, and I was exactly the opposite. So I was very curious about that. Was it strictly the tubing that was the issue, or
Hate the
were there
tubing.
other?
Absolutely hate the tubing.
Mm,
I was on Omnipod for a while, but the bulk of it, like you said, is very difficult.
mhm,
Especially for me, I'm a side sleeper. I turn over
mhm.
onto it, wakes me up every time. I'm back to shots. I was on Omnipod for about 3 years. Tried to go on tandem, couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Really?
Kept hitting the tubing, knocking the tubing out. But also the kind of the way I am, the way I teach, I'm very demonstrative. My hands are up in the air all the time. I was catching it
Oh,
with my hands, and I said, you know what? I'll just go back to dealing with the shots. But I understand. I do understand when the pumps work, they're fantastic. But I also had
mhm.
lots of issues with pumps failing and infusion sites failing to where I don't want my glucose to hit 300 ever. And that happens when those infusion sites fail.
I completely agree with that part. The quality control in the manufacturing of the infusion sites has dropped off dramatically since I started using them.
Oh, interesting.
Originally, I was on an Animus pump, and without a doubt, it was the best pump, best tubing, best infusion sites I've ever had. They were acquired by Medtronic and shut down,
Oh, gosh.
but they were fantastic. Their pumps were, you could hit it with a hammer. It was fine.
Oh, that's
Uh,
amazing. Yeah.
and it was the only waterproof traditional pump that's ever been on the market.
Also a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to go to the water park? You're gonna need one that's waterproof.
Yeah, I mean, the convenience of being able to just throw it in the pocket of my swim shorts and jump in the river, that was fantastic.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm right there with you on that. So yeah, so it took you a while to come around, but now you are a fan of CGMs, I'm assuming.
Yes, but I have also had issues with the quality control on those. I actually
Really?
had one of the highest highs I've had since diagnosis because of a faulty CGM.
Was that the Dexcom G7?
It was. And it's only happened one time, but it woke me up in the middle of the night saying that I was having a severe low, like low 20s, high teens. And I don't feel low, but it's yelling at me,
Yeah,
"Oh, treat for the low now, test in 20 minutes."
right.
It was off by over 380 points.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, I use the Freestyle Libre, and
Hmm.
I've never had that. I have tried the Dexcom on a few occasions, but I've always kept the Libre on as well, and I've compared the two, and I haven't had any issues with either one. But Dexcom is coming out with a new sensor because I have heard that they've had many quality control issues with the current sensor,
The other exciting thing that I heard about the new one is instead of a 10-day lifespan, it has a 15-day lifespan.
which the Libre already has.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes, the Libre already has the 15-day lifespan. The new Dexcom is also much smaller than the old
Mhm.
Dexcom. It's closer in size to the Libre, which is about a third the size of the Dexcom currently.
Wow. Okay. The only one I've ever seen in action was the Dexcom. I I'll have to look into that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if for no other reason, you should just get your hands on one, wear them both simultaneously just to see, and see if
Mhm.
they're both kind of clocking your glucose at around the same level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so, I mean, why not? The
Yeah.
technology's there. You might as well try it and see which one works best for you. So okay, were you on a pump from the very beginning? I'm assuming so.
I
Oh,
got onto a
after your honeymoon period.
yeah, my honeymoon period lasted about 18 months after diagnosis.
Okay,
So I started on the pump when I was 16.
okay, all right,
And I've been on a pump since with very few exceptions.
okay,
One of
excellent.
which was I had a battery explode inside of one of my old Animus pumps.
Oh,
They used the lithium AA batteries, and whatever that battery just popped.
wow. And so you were on shots then for a while until you could get a new one.
Yes, but Animus used to have a fantastic policy where no matter where you were in the world, they would get you another one in 48 hours or less.
Okay, that is a great policy to have.
Yes,
It's a great policy to have.
that is the only time I've been back on shots.
Okay, yeah, yeah, fair enough. I mean, shots are definitely not for everyone, so I I do understand the pros and the cons. So, how have your goals, priorities, or outlook on life changed since your diagnosis? I mean, like for instance, did you change what you maybe were dreaming of being when you grew up, when you were not a diabetic, and did that alter in any way once you were diagnosed?
Uh, I think the biggest thing that changed in general was just my motivation. I was a AP all A's student prior to diagnosis, and I went to hell with this. I'm on death's door every day. This doesn't matter afterwards. Uh,
That's fascinating.
yeah,
Do you feel with diabetes like you're kind of constantly living on the edge?
not anymore. I did at the time. I think it's become so normalized over the last 15 years for me that I sometimes lose scope of how dangerous my condition actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that's the thing with chronic illnesses. They're chronic. They're always there. You never get a day off, and it can be easy at times to say, oh, I'm not my diabetes. I'm not going to let this rule my life and try to ignore it, but at your own peril.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's something I've never struggled with is trying to ignore it because, I mean, you can ignore it for probably about 24 hours, and that's your lot.
And then you're going to feel really bad after those 24 hours.
Yeah. So it's just not worth it.
So yeah, not worth it. So okay, so you kind of thought to yourself, oh, enough of this, right? I so you really kind of stopped focusing on your academics.
I completely checked out through the rest of high school. Uh,
Interesting.
I got into university entirely off of my SAT scores.
Wow. Okay, so you still had it in you to do good on the SAT.
I did, yeah. I think the most frustrating part for me was sort of the brain fog that comes with having a high blood sugar and how long that can last.
Right.
If my blood sugar spikes after lunch because I miscalculated something, well, now I can't focus on math. So what's the point?
Right. Right. Yeah. Or if your glucose goes low, it takes a long time for your brain to, it's at least 20 minutes before your brain is properly functioning again.
Absolutely.
And that's
Yeah.
after you've treated.
Right.
Yeah.
So it just took away my motivation for my academics. I was in survival mode for the next few years as I learned to not only live with it, but control it.
Right. So tell me, what was the reaction of your parents when you were diagnosed?
It was hard. Uh, so my mom had just started her first semester as a full-time teacher.
Huh.
She was teaching class when she got the call that I was in the hospital and like had to arrange a sub before she could leave.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
and so my dad was there with me the whole time, and he's a pretty tough guy. He was a police officer in England in the 70s. Strong guy. Uh, just the mention of the time in the hospital can bring him to the edge of tears. And
Yeah.
that I think the guilt he felt for not being able to fix it still kind of lingers with him.
There was nothing he could have done.
No,
And that's what's so difficult for parents is I think that that sense that they feel guilty. They're there to protect their children and provide for their children. And when things go poorly for their children, try to fix those things that go poorly, and there's nothing you can do.
right. And I think that helplessness really weighed on them. And I know it caused fights between them as well because at that age I was just starting to get my independence and then back to square one right away.
Right.
And my mom was always worried, what if he goes out and doesn't come back? And my dad was going, you have to let him.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to let him try to live life. But it's so hard for a parent, right? It's like you want to protect your child and letting them kind of go off into the world. How did they react when when you first went to college?
Oh, it was check in every night. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you still alive until I just start responding no?
Oh no. Oh no.
Just appealing to their sense of humor, I guess.
How far is home from the Texas State University campus?
So my parents were living in Cedar Park at the time, which is sort of between Austin and Round Rock, so 40 minutes roughly.
Okay, so not too far
No.
in case they needed to check on you.
Mhm.
Coming back to CGMs quickly, I think one of the great things about CGMs is that you can be anywhere else in the world, and your parents can sit there, or your any of your loved ones can have your CGM reading on their phone, so that especially for parents whose kids have just gone away to college and they're
Mhm.
super worried about them, they will get alerts if their child is having glucose issues, which is a spectacular thing to have.
I can definitely see the utility in that. That would have driven me insane. I was clawing for my independence, and that would have just annoyed me to no end.
Yeah, that would have been, you would have had enough of that real fast.
hmm Yeah, I think for my teenage years, the worst question anyone could ask me is, "Are you okay?"
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Is
like,
stop
do I
picking
look
up on
like I'm okay?
me. I'm breathing, aren't I?
I'm breathing, but I'm a type 1 diabetic. Leave me alone. It's the other thing people don't understand, too, is that, with diabetes, with your blood sugar constantly in flux, it has major implications for your mental health, both short term and long term.
Mm,
In the immediate moment, someone who's a type 1 diabetic who's going low or high can be very grumpy. They can be very lethargic, right? Can be a
mm.
lot of type 1 diabetics when they go low become very irritable and angry. Did you experience any of this?
Oh, I've experienced all of that, absolutely. Irritable when low, phrases like "get out of my way, I'm doing something." Uh, Lethargic when high, absolutely. Uh, Experience the full range, and you just eventually you sort of have to become cognizant of it. Is I'm feeling this way because.
Right, right. But it's not, I mean, there are times when you are so low that you cannot verbalize that. Have,
Mhm.
have you ever had a problem where, someone around you saw you going low, didn't know that you were a diabetic, or didn't understand the symptoms that you were undergoing, and it caused a problem for you?
Um, Only actually, only with a couple of teachers in high school.
Interesting. Okay. What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
Uh, I had a history teacher in high school who didn't recognize that I was having a low and was furious with me for not standing up to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh my gosh.
So I just grabbed my stuff, pushed my way past him, and went to the nurse.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah. That's what you have to do. You have to protect yourself in those moments. Any
Yeah.
issues with people not allowing you to have, say, sugar with you in a classroom?
Uh, no, because I've always been very quick to correct that. Phrases like "you can take it from me, but then you're gonna have to call an ambulance" tend to put people on the back
Man,
foot.
that should do it. That should do it. Yeah, absolutely. Any other kind of other than the short term emotional issues of highs and lows? Any other kind of more longer term emotional problems as a result of, or consequences, I should say, emotional consequences of being a type 1 diabetic?
Uh, Maybe not from being a diabetic per se, but from the time that I spent in the pediatric diabetic ward as a older child in that ward. I was fairly cognizant of what was going on and uh, the severity of it, and that things would change, etc., and that the needles were necessary. It was the younger children in that ward that left a scar,
Oh,
screaming, "Don't let them hurt me anymore," things like that. That sticks with you.
yeah, I can only imagine that would stick with you.
Mm.
Extremely difficult to see children suffer from such an unrelenting and vicious disease. And that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast, is to try to shed light on just how horrible diabetes is, so that more can be done to try to cure this horrific malady. People just don't understand. Just because you can treat it, that is so far from a cure,
Yeah.
and it's, I mean, major impact on every aspect of your life.
Yeah. I mean, the sound of those kids screaming in pain and anguish, that's a part of me forever.
Wow. Yeah, I can only imagine. I was very lucky when I was diagnosed. They put me on a diabetic ward of older diabetics.
Mm,
So, but they all tended, I think, to be type 2. That was a
right.
very different experience. I was not with children, but I was not a child when I was diagnosed. I was 20, so that's probably why I had a different experience.
Mm,
So yes, we need to be thankful for the small victories in life, and I think maybe one bright side to that for you was, is that yes, you were a diabetic, but you were 15 at the time, and not
mm.
3, 4, 5.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine how horrific it would be to live with that from early childhood.
Yeah, yeah. I just interviewed a man who was diagnosed when he was 2.5.
Oh my
He's
God.
now 72,
Wow.
and he's had it for 70 years. And he's part of there's the Joslin Diabetes Center up in Boston. It's affiliated with Harvard, and has been
Mm,
at the forefront of diabetes treatment for since before the discovery of insulin by Banting and Best. And he's part of their medalist program. So people who have been type 1 diabetic for over 50 years, they're studied at Joslin to try to understand why they made it so long when so many others, perished
mm.
along the way. So,
Especially before we had effective treatments, since that is a very new technology.
oh, I mean, yes, I mean, and the fact, not having CGMs, I remember life before CGMs and life after CGMs, and it was a very different experience. Constantly pricking your fingers, checking your blood, not knowing for long stretches what your glucose was, just having to go off of how you felt. And yet there were people who were doing it where they would know their glucose like once every 3 months.
Right.
Once
Yeah.
every 3 months.
I remember uh, when I was a young child, the mother of one of my friends was a type 1 diabetic, and she would find out her blood sugar every week, and that was a huge advancement.
Yeah. Yeah, and then sometimes they would try to use these urine strips, but they were
Mhm.
very inaccurate because people don't spill glucose at the same rates. So your glucose could actually be pretty good, and you would be spilling glucose, and someone else's glucose might be 250, and they're not spilling any glucose, and so the glucose test, the urine strips aren't telling you that.
Mhm.
So huge advances in monitoring. Not really much in the way of advances in insulin since around, it's been about 25 years since we've had a really new effective insulin, which is a bit shocking, actually.
I wonder if that's a byproduct of us essentially getting it right or a byproduct of we found the most profitable one.
No comment. No comment. So, um, what do you think what aspects of living with type 1 diabetes do you feel are maybe most misunderstood by non-diabetics?
Oh goodness. The common knowledge, as I hesitate to call it, around diabetes is atrocious. Uh, for the last 15 years, every time I speak to an adult about the fact that I have diabetes, I'll hear, well, if with diet and exercise, not that type of diabetes.
Maybe
And
some
there's,
cinnamon. Maybe try some cinnamon.
or have you tried a nice herbal tea?
Ah, yeah, that'll do it. That'll fix everything.
Absolutely. Uh, And I have seen a gradual shift over, I'd say, the last 10 years where I hear, well, is it the other kind? And so there's at least some awareness that there's more than one kind of diabetes now.
Right. Well, this is why mothers of type 1 diabetics a few years ago were petitioning to get the name of type 1 diabetes changed,
Mm,
because they didn't like the fact that it kept getting confused with type 2. But of course, they're both, the disease is the same in terms of it's about high blood sugar, it's about hyperglycemia. It's very
mhm,
different, though, in the ways in which it occurs. Ours being autoimmune, type 2 mostly being about lifestyle choices, but not always. Some people are genetic, and so there's nothing they can do to prevent from becoming a type 2. Just like there's nothing any type 1 can do to
right.
prevent becoming a type 1. And I think that that's where there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of confusion, and it's frankly not helpful.
No, there isn't. Or sorry, it isn't helpful at all. Uh, Having to explain to people every time how it works is frankly exhausting.
Yeah, I
I'm
fully
sure you
get that.
know. Is first off, no, it's not that. I'm not that fat yet. I'm working on it.
Right. Right. Yeah. There's unfortunately there's just no easy fix
Mhm.
for what we suffer from.
No. Well, and I think that's also the misconception is in some instances, type 2 diabetes can get better.
Yeah.
Type 1 diabetes, the baseline is dead,
Yes.
and we're just keeping ourselves above that line.
We are surviving.
Mhm.
We are surviving because that's all, frankly, um, that insulin allows us to do. It doesn't allow us to cure it with type 2. In many instances, if you improve your diet, you improve your lifestyle, you can get off of the medicines that you're on, like the sulfonylureas, and you can reverse it.
Mhm.
But if you don't, there's a good chance that you will become a type 1, which I always tell people I wouldn't wish type 1 on my worst enemy. And if you're type 2 and you're watching this, do everything in your power to not become a type 1.
Absolutely. Type 2 is your grace period to change your choices
Yeah, if you can. If it's not
if you
a
can.
genetic issue. Yeah, if you can. Yes, so a lot of misconceptions there. Hopefully, those misconceptions will be kind of fixed. I don't know if you've heard about it, but there's some major trials going on right now. There's an Eladon trial that's happening where they've cured 12 people of type 1 diabetes using um, a brand new anti-rejection, or basically it's an anti-immunosuppressant drug
Hmm.
called tegoprubart that does not have the serious side effects of immune suppressants. And so they've cured 12 people so far. We will see um, if they're able to enlarge the scale of this. There's another company called Vertex that's doing a trial where they're making cells in a lab. And then I think also using tegoprubart with the Eladon trial, they're using cadaver cells from donated pancreases, and that's a limited supply. You're not going to cure everyone with that, but if you
Right.
can make them in a lab, there's a chance that you can get rid of type 1. Uh, how do you think you would react if you were able to have your diabetes cured after so many years?
Oh man. I honestly wouldn't know what to do. It's like my insulin pump has become such an integral part of my body. I tell people I'm a cyborg. I have a computer permanently affixed to me. Uh,
Right.
I mean, it would change everything about my lifestyle. It would change how and when I eat, what I worry about. In fact, I don't know if I'd be able to stop worrying about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just being completely having everything disconnected from you.
Well, and not
Things.
knowing my blood sugar is such a foreign concept at this point.
I know. I'm. That's what I would be most scared about. Would be I would have a hard time taking off the CGM.
I would as well. I'd probably stay on it for a year or more afterwards just to make sure.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you.
And I think every time I ate, I'd watch it in just a quiet state of panic.
Right. Oh no, it's going up a little bit. It's going up a little bit. Oh, it's because
Right.
I just ate a ton of rice and didn't eat any fiber.
Exactly.
But there is hope on the horizon, and I think that that is, for us, I think that's something that we can all kind of latch onto and hope that maybe this isn't the life sentence that that we've kind of come to accept it as.
Right. Well, and I remember when I was first diagnosed, one of the doctors telling me, hey, at your age, in all likelihood, you'll be cured in your 30s based on the way research is going. And I went, yeah, whatever. Uh, Here I am turning 30 this year, and it's on the horizon.
So, yes, let's hope. I was told when I was diagnosed when I was 20, I'm now 49. I was told when I was diagnosed it would be gone in 10 years.
Mm,
And then 10 years came and passed and nothing. And then I was told, oh, well, it's just a few years around the corner. Nothing. So long suffering diabetics or the longer suffering diabetics tend to be much more skeptical, which I
mm,
fully understand. However, um, I'm not willing to let go of hope. And I think I would probably cry for a week afterwards. And then I would throw a party for the death of my diabetes.
mm. Yeah, I can only imagine what it would be like to look at food or drink and not think about the precautions I need to take.
I know. I know. People who are not diabetic truly don't realize how lucky they are, and
Mhm,
they don't understand just what a modern what a miracle the human body is to be able to regulate this, to
mhm.
regulate your glucose levels, and they don't have to do anything.
Right. That's the part that makes me feel sometimes disconnected is the way that other people just don't think about it because why would they?
Yeah.
Whereas I look at a plate of food and go, okay, the potatoes are going to be 40 to 60, the bread roll is going to be at least 50.
And eating out at restaurants is so much more difficult than eating at home when you're preparing everything yourself. It's a crapshoot.
Yeah, even if you ask for nutrition information, it's probably not accurate.
Well, exactly, because just because that's what their official serving size is. I mean, you get this, you go to like a fast food restaurant and get an order of fries, and well, they have these little tables that say, well, a large order of fries is supposed to be this many grams of carbs, and you give insulin for that many grams of carbs, and uh-oh, my glucose spiked, or I'm having more stress today than usual, and what normally would cover won't cover because my glucose is spiking due to my high stress level. Oh, but sometimes, guess what? Stress causes your glucose to crumble, to go through the floor. And you're like, what? What is happening? Also,
Yeah,
it's like, I'm a historian. I didn't know I was going to need a medical degree to treat myself. But basically, that's what we are.
I like to call myself a diabetic technician. I don't know how the machine works, but I know how to fix it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we need to have a little one-on-one with our pancreases and say, what's going on down there?
Right?
Can't you stop those T cells from attacking?
Please.
Please, please. After you get angry, then there's the desperation, the desperate plea for help. Excellent, excellent. So, is there anything about your experience with type 1 diabetes that you feel is important to share that we haven't talked about?
Um, I think overall, I was fairly lucky. Um, First off, just surviving the process of diagnosis, but also I had a much easier transition into taking care of it than a lot of people do. So I'm grateful that it went so well. I'm grateful that, knock on wood, I've never needed any other emergency care or hospitalization as a result of it. I know for many people that is not the case. And I know a lot of people struggle with accepting their diagnosis and look for other ways to just deny that it's happening. There, as of right now, there is no alternative to taking your insulin as prescribed and as needed. And the more that you try and fight that, the worse it gets. I know that sounds hopeless. It's not. You can still live a normal life.
Right. You can still live a normal life. It's just a more regulated life.
Yes, you become more in tune with your body, you become more in tune with how you conduct yourself, and you become more attuned with risk.
Yes.
Uh, Now, in some ways, I've certainly become less risk averse in some things and more risk averse in other things. I fear eating at a restaurant. I don't necessarily fear doing reckless and silly things. Like I took a seminar in stage combat last year where we're swinging steel stage swords at each other's faces with no padding.
Wow. That's good. That's great. I definitely became more risk averse when I was diagnosed, and it has been a constant struggle to try to overcome that.
Hmm.
And so I definitely understand where you're coming from. You ready to put on your Nostradamus cap for a second?
Give it my best shot.
All right. So, um, what do you think people 50 years from now will find surprising about how we treat diabetes today in your ideal world?
In my ideal world, I think people will look at it the same way we think of polio now. Of just, I can't believe so many people had that, and then it just went away. Uh, that's my best guess.
That is a great way to look at it. Yes, polio, the great terrorizer of the first half of the 20th century. Yes, and something that we just don't think about anymore.
Yeah, I've never worried about it.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Any advice on a final note here? Any advice for your fellow Bobcats as an alum of Texas State who might have type 1 diabetes or might know someone with type 1 diabetes? Just words of advice, especially if maybe they are recently diagnosed and they're really struggling in college as a result.
Ask for help. It's there. There are networks that you can reach out to for help with managing your diabetes, as well as coming to terms with the diagnosis if that's the hurdle that you're facing. As far as people who already have it and are already taking care of it, don't let it take a back seat. It can coexist with your studies, and it should never come second to anything.
I think that's fantastic advice, and every diabetic needs to hear that. So thank you so much for that, Stephen. And thank you for taking the time to join me here today. This has been a very enlightening conversation, and I think just a real reality check for people who don't know about type 1 diabetes and just how dangerous it is, but also how manageable it can be, but you've got to manage it.